Breaking news: Russia, oligarchs leaving the country after the collapse of the ruble is yet another bad sign for the Russian economy. Vladimir Putin is witnessing a massive outflow of money from Russia as extremely wealthy oligarchs are said to have left the nation in the wake of the failed coup attempt by the Wagner Group mercenaries in late June. The Russian economy, which has been struggling since February 2022 as a result of the expense of the full-scale invasion Moscow launched against Ukraine as well as the harm caused by the Western sanctions that followed, now faces yet another challenge. Professor Hilary Ingham of Nottingham University told Express.co.uk that many oligarchs were departing the nation. Arkady Rodenberg, a $3.5 billion businessman, has relocated to Azerbaijan. Vladimir Potanin, the second richest person in the nation with a net worth of $23.7 billion, has traveled to Turkey. Therefore, even though there are clearly sanctions in place and these oligarchs are unable to travel to the EU, the US, or most other places, there are still some nations they can visit. Even though it hasn't been officially confirmed, these oligarchs' private jets were seen flying out of Russia as the Wagner coup seemed to have a chance of succeeding. The expert stated that by leaving Russia, these billionaires are further draining on the country's capital and labeled it as another bad signal for the economy. The expert went on to say, people are also getting rid of the ruble and getting hard currencies because they want to send money abroad, they want to get money out, and the capital controls in Russia are actually fairly lax, so you can do it. It's not like you can't convert rubles into hard currencies. According to Professor Ingham, one of Russia's economic problems is the decline of its currency on the world market. The ruble fell to its lowest point in nearly 15 months following the mutiny led by Yevgeny Prigozhin on June 23, briefly trading at around $87. People all over Putin's country withdrew 100 billion rubles that fateful weekend, suggesting that the brief uprising appeared to have alarmed the majority of Russians, not just oligarchs. Since the announcement of the invasion of Ukraine in February of last year, another action that sparked a mass emigration from Russia, this represented the highest spike in demand for cash. The Argentine peso and the Turkish lira are the only two currencies performing worse than the ruble, according to Professor Ingham, even though the ruble has slightly recovered since last month and the Kremlin is attempting to deter investors by asserting the economy is definitely recovering. In early July, due to a significant windfall tax that they must pay, which the Kremlin hopes will raise $3.6 billion to help the faltering economy, more oligarchs may be persuaded to leave their home country. This tax has been raised on the biggest companies, which are obviously all owned by these oligarchs, declared Professor Ingham. If you take a look at the statements that have come out of the Kremlin, they claim that these oligarchs have proposed it, indicating that they really do want to support the Russian economy. Now, I don't think that will convince many people, and I think more will depart. Since there are places to go, as I previously stated, this is a significant windfall tax. I doubt that many people will be particularly pleased about it. Since there are many places they can go, I believe that more and more people will actually try to leave the country. There are Middle Eastern nations where they could go. Turkey is an obvious one, as well as ex-Soviet states that do not support the sanctions. Putin's men wipe out 73 artillery units as Russian forces defeat the Ukrainian army in 17 battles. Intense combat is taking place in the east and south of Ukraine as Moscow and Kiev struggle for control. In the east, Donetsk, Luhansk, and in the south, Zaporizhzhia, Kharkiv, the situation is still precarious. 6 Ukrainian drones were reportedly intercepted and destroyed in the tense areas, according to Russia's air defense systems. Additionally, Russia claims to have shot down 3 HIMARS multiple launch rocket system rockets. Additionally, at least 3 Ukrainian ammunition depots in Donetsk and Zaporizhzhia are said to have been destroyed by Putin's military. For the most recent war updates, watch this video. Ukraine loses 20% of its Western tanks in just 14 days as Russia's death trap defeats the counteroffensive report. According to the New York Times, 20% of the Western tanks and vehicles used in Ukraine's counteroffensive were lost in the first 2 weeks. In the following weeks, the loss rate decreased to 10%, necessitating a change in strategy. Armies of Ukraine switched to using artillery and missiles. However, due to strong Russian defenses and minefields, the counteroffensive stalled in some areas. Zelensky waits for renewal as Putin refuses Black Sea grain deal, goal not implemented. As the deadline for the Black Sea grain agreement approaches, Russian President Vladimir Putin sounded a pessimistic note. The deal was discussed by the Russian President and Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa. The goal of the Black Sea grain deal, according to the Kremlin, was not attained during the call with Ramaphosa. Russia has threatened to leave the grain agreement because of barriers to its own exports of food and fertilizer. Watch what happened when Biden snubs Zelensky over the training of Ukrainian pilots on F-16 jets. Is the U.S. delaying the approval of Ukraine's F-16 training? Politico claims that European nations have not yet officially received Washington's consent to train Ukrainian pilots to fly F-16 fighter jets. The request to transfer manuals, flight simulators, and other materials has not been approved, the report claims, by the U.S. State Department. The United States later joined the international coalition to train Ukrainian pilots on F-16s, which was first announced by the United Kingdom and the Netherlands. The Western Allies chose Romania as the location for their training facility. Kyiv cries foul as Zelensky is blamed for Putin's war by the Bulgarian president. Ukraine insists on fighting. Bulgaria's president came under fire from Ukraine for his remarks about Kyiv at the NATO summit. According to Rumen Radev, Kyiv is to blame for the ongoing conflict. His claims have since been refuted by the Ukrainian embassy in Sofia, which asserted that Kyiv was making every effort to bring about peace. To learn more, view this video. Pushing for a U.S.-Russian war, Biden? American lives are ready to be sacrificed, warns Democrat Kennedy. The decision of U.S. President Joe Biden to send 3,000 more reservists to Europe has drawn criticism from within his own political party. Biden was criticized by Democratic presidential hopeful Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who claimed that his action was a sign that the United States was getting ready to engage Russian forces directly. Kennedy criticized the American president for being out of touch with the American people in a string of tweets on Friday. See this video for more information.